Donald J. Trump gave his press pool the slip last night, about 2 hours after reporters were informed by the campaign, or the transition team, that the president-elect was in Trump Tower and locked up tight for the evening. Trump and his family took it on the hoof, on the lam, went out to dinner at the 21 Club. How do we know that that's where he went? Bloomberg's intrepid 21 Club correspondent, Kate Smith, seen here, hovering behind the president-elect, was there when Trump and his family arrived. We caught up with Ms. Smith in the Bloomberg hallway and asked her to file this report.
So last night, my colleagues and I were having dinner at the 21 Club, and we noticed that there was a very famous person sitting behind us. It was Ivanka Trump and her husband. About 20 minutes after we noticed that she was there, in came the entire Donald Trump clan. It wasn't exactly a standing ovation. It was more like a muted acknowledgement that he was there. Maybe half a dozen people got up to clap for him. He ordered a $36 burger and a Virgin Bloody Mary. We did hear that he was talking about a potential female press secretary.
Wow. That's stellar reporting, Kate. Thank you for that. Not telling the press pool about the president-elect's whereabouts is, of course, a major break in protocol, and one that the White House Correspondents Association called, quote, unacceptable in its statement about Trump's excursion. This was not the first time that Trump has shunned his traveling press corps. He's done it as a candidate and as president-elect. His spokeswoman, Hope Hicks, told reporters that a so-called protective pool hasn't officially been set up yet, and the journalists will eventually have, quote, all of the access that they have ever had under any president. Now, every incoming president invariably claims that he won election by going over the heads of the press corps, and then he bridles when the press corps demands that he give up any semblance of his privacy for the sake of public accountability. Enter Donald Trump, who has argued more flamboyantly than any of his predecessors that the MSM is irrelevant and whose privacy was more or less sacrosanct until he entered the political arena. So, Mark, what is going to happen now with Donald Trump? Will he inevitably be brought to heel by the press like every other past president? Or can this guy be the guy who actually says, screw it, I'm going to do what I want?
I'm optimistic and hopeful, but the press has to really be diligent about this, and we need to always talk about it in terms of the public interest. We need to be with the president-elect and the president of the United States, not because we're trying to bother him, but because it is our job to cover him. And in the world in which we live, it's Kennedy assassination, 9/11.
Reagan assassination attempt.
It's just essential that this exists. And what I don't want is for this fight to become such a lightning rod, as important as it is, that we don't think about all the areas in which we need to fight so that there is the kind of coverage the American public not just wants, but needs and deserves of this administration.
The press has an obligation to try to hold Donald Trump accountable against all of the norms that we expect from every president, Republican and Democrat. This is not a more important norm, but this is a norm, and there are reasons for it. It's not that we're voyeurs, and it's not that we particularly want to be peeping Toms in some way. It is the case that he's the most powerful, important person in the world, and if something happens to him, the public deserves to know at the moment, as quickly as possible, that thing has happened, in case he's incapacitated, as you said, and the power has to be transferred to another officer in the government, the vice president or someone else. It is important that the public deserves to know that, and the president should be respectful enough of the public that elected him that he should say, okay, this is a price of being president of the United States. I will willingly, and in some ways even gladly, pay it.
I go back to the Clinton experience because, again, it's the transition I covered most closely. 1993.
Yeah.
That White House started to change things. They closed the access to the media to the upper press office where the press secretary's office was. They made a number of changes. And when I said, and other reporters said to the Clinton people, you can't do this way. This has never been done this way. They said, we don't care. Never been done this way. We're not playing by those rules. We're playing by different rules. Some of the rules perhaps are arbitrary. Some of the rules perhaps are antiquated. But the basic function must be allowed. They cannot cut off the public's access to the President of the United States and the President-elect capriciously. They have to adhere to the norms because they're norms for a reason.
The president can't be out in the middle of the night clubbing in Manhattan without anybody knowing where he is.